Okay, hey guys. So this is my second attempt to make this video here because it took me a bit longer than I hoped. So to get it quicker, I'm gonna just work with the code I wrote before, but instead of writing it, I'm gonna just reveal it. So assume whatever is in gray, we don't have it yet, and let's just focus on stuff that is in color. So first, what you want to do is use Java, import whatever libraries you want to import. And for this exercise, for this assignment, we will need java.util.arraylist. So, and that's how you access the ArrayList codes and all the library. Um, okay, so that's the first step you want to, and obviously I found it by Googling ArrayList. Yeah, so I went to Google and I wrote Java array list, and I opened one of the websites, and I found a piece of information that's stated that I have to do this. Okay, so then you have to write public class student. So public because we want to access it from other codes, other classes, and then class because we're building a class, an object student that implements calculate grade. And if you remember, we created this um, interface here that implements those two methods, and we implement this. Well, not implement the methods. We only declare the methods, and we were going to implement those methods here, and we have to first implement the interface. Okay, so then, sorry, then we create the fields of student. So whatever kind of, let's call it, features a student has, and if you go to John's assignment, you'll see that we're supposed to create student name, ID number, course, year, registration, and grade list. So, and the grade list is supposed to be an array list of integers. Okay, so and that's how you, again, if you read a bit more about array lists, you'll find that you have this is one of the things you do, and why we are using those brackets and why is this done that way. You can read it all from Google, and please do, so you know exactly what has to happen. Okay, next step would be the constructor. In this case, this constructor is very easy. If you Google Java constructor, enter, um, you'll see here, oh, is that the one I found before? Yeah. So there is, yeah, so if you go to beginner's book and look for constructors in Java, you'll see a full article, and this piece here can nicely explains what types of constructors we have. So there's a default one. If you don't put in a constructor, if you put nothing, there's that default one. Then you can create a non-argument one that I use, and then you can put parameters in it, like arguments inside of the constructor. So if you want to say, when I construct student, I would like to put in some data that will populate these fields automatically. But I don't do it yet. I don't want to do it. I just want to say, okay, whenever we create new student and this constructor is being called, whenever we say we create a new variable that is holding object, student object, let's call it Marek. So we create student Marek equals new student, and that's how this constructor is being called. And then this constructor, the only thing it's going to do, it's going to create a new array list, which is another kind of object um, that we need to store our grades. Okay, so this is non-arg constructor. And you can do it. You don't have to really focus on constructor if you, and that's the way actually, that is just better. Um, if you create set and get methods. We have get methods here and set methods here, which basically means after we create an empty kind of shell of an object, then we use those set methods to set those fields. So set student name, set ID number, set course, set year, and blah blah blah. And the same, instead of accessing the fields by, if you create, for example, student Marek, then if I didn't make them private, oh, and by the way, there is a piece of information I have to explain in a second, but if they're private, if they weren't private, if they were public, then if you write Marek dot, say, student name, you would be able to access my name, whatever is stored in this field, in Marek um, uh, object. But because they are private, and this is called encapsulation. So, and I I had to ask my friend who's working for, in IT, just like, okay, I'm making those videos. I don't want to confuse people. What is encapsulation exactly? And is it very important? And is using set methods so important? Can't we use the easy way? Can we just use this simple constructor and access the variables by just writing dot student name or dot ID number? And the explanation was there's something there's a thing called reflection, and I don't really get it what reflection is. So here's your another idea for Googling. But basically, you can hack someone's program, on your program can be hacked uh, with this method, this reflection thing. So it's better to keep everything private, and whenever you need to access those fields, you just go to your get methods. So I just explained what the set methods here are. I'm going to just scroll it here if you want to rewrite it. Just make sure you change the variable names, maybe just tweak it slightly so it doesn't look exactly the same. And obviously tweak it to your own ideas after you get more comfortable. Okay, maybe the last bit here, you see set mark. I changed because if you look at all the set methods, I just took the field name and I put set in front. Set student name, then ID number, set ID number, then we have course. So the method, I call the method set course. And you can see it's very easy method. You just say course, which is here, assign it to whatever we put in the set method. So if you want to, for example, set name and we put Marek in here, then we're going to populate this field with Marek. So the only difference, well, the only different kind of set method here is the last one for grade list. It's because it's the array list, and you don't assign in when it comes to array lists. You don't assign. You write the name of the array list dot add. You're using the method add, and then you put in um, a number in this case. Yeah, I set it for integer. So for example, if the first mark is 10, which is very low, 10%, it's gonna add 10. And then if you wanna add another one, 50, then it's gonna add another mark 50. So you have 10 and 50 in your array list, and so on. So you have to, in this assignment, we have to populate it at some stage, populate it with 10, well, add 10 marks, okay? Now we have get methods. They're as simple as set methods. So you basically you just return whatever is the field. So this is all about the encapsulation. I know it's very simple, and you can scratch your head thinking, why would you do this if you can just leave it alone and assign and access in with the dot thingy? But that's all the encapsulation thing, and it has to it's better if you do it. And actually this is one of the questions you can hear during your interview. Why would you encapsulate? What is the reason? How do you protect your data? Or not, maybe not data, but how do you protect your code? So it's good to know why we do the encapsulation. And again, for getting something from an array list, you write the name of the array list dot get and the index of the item. So if you have 10, it goes from 0 to 9, like in arrays. Implementing methods. So the next step would be implementing the methods that we have in here. So in here, you only say, I want those in my student. Whatever implements this interface, I want those methods in. And the list can be way longer. Yeah, you just say, I don't care how it's done, I want it in, okay? And all I want to know here is that it's going to return int or it's going to return string and the name, but that's it. And then you implement your interface and you have to make sure if you don't do it, then it's not going to compile. So you have to implement something in here. So for calculate grade average, I put in here a sum variable that will hold the summation of all the grades, and then I go through using for loop all 10 elements in the grade list here, and I just add. You see this notation here, plus equals. That means I'm gonna add to mark sum every time. So if I add 10 to, we start with 0. Let's add 10 first. Okay, so first lap, we added 10, and now we have 10 inside. We don't go back to this line. We're still with on this line. We loop only here 10 times, so we have 10 inside, and then we have 50. So we add 10 to 50, we get 60. So we have 60 in here, and we go back, and then we have 80. So we have 60 and 80 is 140, and so on. So it sums up all the 10 elements, and then to return an average, I have to divide it by 10. So I don't even create. You can create a new variable here called, let's say, mark average that equals mark sum divided by 10, and you can just put that in here, mark average, and that's going to work as well. But I just wanted to save space, which in these days is not as crucial. And the next bit here is the string assign grade, public string assign grade. That's the method that will return a letter for the grade basing on those criteria. So if it's higher than 80, then give me I. Else, if it's greater than 70, return B. Else if, and else if is the key kind of method here, not method, keyword, because you see, for example, if you go for 70, greater than 70. Okay, what is greater than 70? 90 is, but 90 is also greater than 80. So how does computer know which one it is? So if we go from the highest to the lowest using else if and return, it's not going to access, if it's 90, it's not going to go to 70 to check if it's greater than 70 because it's going to return already A and it's going to finish. That's it. Done. It's not going to go through all of them. So that's an easy way to make it. You don't have to add, because if you want to be very thorough, overly thorough, you can say average grade has to be greater than 70, but also it has to be smaller, lesser. So average grade lesser than 80. And now we are very thorough. We know we encapsulate this B grade between 70 and 80. But you don't actually have to do it in this case, because if it's greater than 80, it's going to return A and that's it. And then else if, and the last one is just else. If it's not any of them, then just F, probably. Well, not probably, most definitely. And if you tried else if average grade lesser than 40, I know it kind of sounds like, yeah, that's fine. We go with the greater or equals to 40, it's E, and then if it's lesser, then it's F. And it should compile, but it won't, because the computer will go and see, okay, so if that's this, then I'll return this. If that's this, I will return this, and so on. If that's this, I return F. But what if none of these happen? What if none of them return true and we end up here? and we have nothing to return, then this method cannot return the string that we promised at the beginning, so it's not gonna compile. So you don't do that, just do else, and it's gonna compile nicely. Okay, so let's leave it at that. I'm gonna just scroll up and scroll slowly down so you can see we have, first we start with importing, then we give it a name, implement the interface. We only not we don't define them, we declare our fields, then we put our constructor if we have anything to construct. If not, then we can just put an empty constructor. There's a default constructor as well, so don't worry about it if you don't want to put any. Probably it's better. To be honest, in this case, I don't know if you have to put in the constructor. I asked that IT friend, and he said like, don't worry about it. You don't have to put in anything in there, but I would put at least like nothing, just empty constructor. Um, and then, but make sure you have your set methods for setting all your fields. They have to be, there must be some way to set those fields, and then there must be a way to get those methods, and then we have our methods for the student class. Here we have our method for second method, sorry, code for second method, and that's it. Okay, thanks for watching, and see you next time.